This
think
conference will now be recorded.
I think my manager Christina might be attending as well, just to also shadow, I guess.
Okay.
Um, but if we need to pause the recording for any reason, just let me know because
Okay.
it's not going to be used for anything super super crazy. So. All right. So the goal today is to obviously do the scheduler discovery, and this is how we identify how your particular company handles their overall scheduling process. And then we also go through like this discovery, which gets the information from you of how do you do your scheduling, what is required for your scheduling, what are your goals for a successful rollout, and what are you really looking for with the scheduler build. So just to kind of kick that off, are you going to be the primary contact person for the scheduler module,
Um,
or would
yeah, I would be, well, just like Raquel and I.
okay.
We don't do the schedules for the staff, so we would just be relaying information to the actual schedulers.
Okay. Now, is there anybody that will eventually need to be a part of these sessions? Because we'll have, like, ideally weekly working sessions and testing and all that. So, would we need to include anyone else, like such as like scheduling managers or anything? So we have their, pretty valuable input.
I would like that for sure.
Okay.
Because they ultimately will need to be the masters on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you want to think about who's going to be involved in the day-to-day process and the maintenance and posting, unposting schedules and things of that nature. So you do want to, include them in on that,
Yeah.
kind of as stakeholders and also maybe not decision makers, but, people who have pretty heavy input and can provide us detail as to how they're going to roll out the scheduling.
hmm
And if you just hear me typing in the background, I'm just making notes. Okay. Okay, so ideally, also, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Let me go back there. Yeah.
Okay. So ideally, in your perfect world, when would you like to have this scheduler module live?
What was
Well,
yesterday's date?
yeah. If
Yesterday?
Raquel was here, she would be saying yesterday.
Right. Okay, so just a kind of rough estimate what we're probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks for building and testing and all that. There's a build phase and also there's a testing phase that heavily involves in you, and that also kind of indirectly or informally turns into training sessions for you as well.
Okay.
So we'll just put as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Like, realistically, I would say by the end of 2019 would be great because we just
Okay,
got a lot going on in 2020. So if we
sure.
can kind of get this rolling and settled by the end of the year.
Now, in regards to training, you and Raquel have taken the training, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have completed the scheduler training.
So we had our two schedulers there,
Okay.
and then Raquel and I reviewed all the stuff as well.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
although it was a while ago, I imagine they've forgotten a lot. But
Yeah. Okay. So think about your goals and expectations. What are your goals for this implementation? Probably sounds really hokey or generic, but we like to get a good idea of what you're ultimately looking to accomplish with this.
just more modern, smooth rollout. Like employees being able to like drop shifts through online chronos and other staff being able to see what shifts are available that they might be able to pick up. Just
Mm-hmm.
something more forward,
Okay.
not so old school.
So, putting some ownership into the employee's hands via from
Yeah.
oh. ownership of an employees. They can go in there at any time and pick up shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so how are you currently scheduling now?
So right now, the two managers, I don't know if the pediatrics is the same, but I know orthodontics, they're on a 4-week rotation. She just manually looks at the schedule, plugs the staff into the schedule, and then emails it out, the manual copy.
Okay, so it is more or less a manual process.
It's all manual.
Okay.
And then, staff, they just get 10 million emails because they can't work this day, they can't work that day.
Okay. So really, I think what I'm hearing is one of the big goals is automation of just the everyday scheduling.
Yeah, and to make it easier for staff to exactly take it into their own hands and not just sit there and wait for a response from the scheduler to see what they can do.
Okay. Okay. So those are some pretty big goals, good goals rather. Anything else in particular that you had in mind?
Not really. I imagine being digital will make less room for errors, which would be nice.
Yes.
It's not even me, right? Like, we actually have no part in scheduling, but I just hear how much of a headache it is for the schedulers.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's pretty much any industry.
Exactly.
I worked in staffing in Richmond Hospital, so I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 3 good goals. Do you have any specific expectations during the implementation? Expectation of us?
No. I'm, just the normal, being able to answer questions right away when we need to.
Okay.
Didn't know you'd be writing a test today, did you, Kelly?
Oh no, I'm actually pretty good with testing, so
I like. Yeah, that's how you really know things working, if you're getting there, try to break it, so to speak. So that's good. Okay. And any criteria that you would use to measure the success of the implementation?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay. So I'll throw one out there is user adoption. That's how I, just being on this side of things, that's how I kind of measure the success of an overall, system rollout is user adoption. Whether that's you, the managers, or the users, how are they liking it? Are they adapting to it well? Is everyone, as a team coming together to figure it out and, be open to the new system? So that's really going to be, for you guys, I think, a measure of success. Would be
like right now, already talking to staff. How are they liking, finger scanning with the new system?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, comparable things that I should note.
Okay.
So that would be, so that would be the most, it would just be asking them how they're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wouldn't be using it at all.
So you definitely want to, you want to get honest feedback from the users, and we encourage that, what's going well, what's not going well. And then we come back and we, talk about it and say, so here's a couple things that we can do to kind of streamline what they're doing in that day-to-day process.
Okay.
So I would just kind of keep encouraging that honest feedback, but a part of that also includes, maybe not necessarily you guys, but, the average user being open to going in and learning it. So
yeah,
that would be, yeah. All right, so let's just talk about your overall scheduling process. There's some questions here, and this, again, just helps us get a good idea of the specifics around your organization. So I think you had said there was other parties that actually create the schedules for your organization?
Correct.
Would that be the scheduling managers, or do you have a particular term for them?
Yeah, so scheduling manager. So for the pediatrics, her name's Michelle, and then for orthodontics, it's Katrina. But the scheduling managers.
Pediatrics, and Katrina was
Orthodontics.
orthodontics. Okay. So are those also the two that are responsible for creating the schedules?
Correct. They take care of everything right now.
Okay. So you have a standard period that you schedule for in your organization, biweekly. I think Stephen had actually sent me over a template that you had previously submitted, so I do see some variance in the schedule cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So are we still on a week-to-week cycle, meaning that the weekly schedule is going to be the same every week? You just post it for different periods of time based on...
Correct. So by that you mean, so we send it out like per month schedule, but yeah, so for the each week's, the schedule would be the same. Like we need the same amount of people this Monday, Tuesday, and then it's like 4 weeks. It's different. I'm trying to explain this properly. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
like
think
a 4-week cycle.
So they're posted out into the future for different lengths of time.
Yeah, but so week 1, it's always, we need this many CDAs on Monday, this many CDAs Tuesday. Week 2 is always same, week 3, week 4, and then it starts back week 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gotcha.
And they get sent out monthly to staff. As far as a schedule in terms of posting it out, it varies. Like it's whenever they're able to send it out to staff.
Okay.
They wait till it's finalized as much as possible.
Gotcha. Do you have multiple EINs? I don't think you do you?
No, we don't use EINs up here.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
And do you have multiple locations that you schedule for?
Correct. We have 4.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at your cost centers, and I kind of thought that would be a yes. And how many of your employees do you typically schedule for? So I think total you have about 171 in the system right now.
Yeah, so let's say like 150 are on the schedules at the most.
Okay.
Because there's the admin team, they don't really have schedules, and
Gotcha.
a couple of the other ones are on their own stuff.
Okay. Now, are you primarily working business hours? You have anything like kind of outside of?
No, nothing unusual. Just Monday, Saturday, 7:40 to 5 is kind of the typical hours that everyone fits in.
Okay. 5. So you're off or closed Sundays?
Correct.
How do you manage time off requests related to the schedule? And let me preface this by saying that we can tell the scheduling, the schedule setup to automatically say this person can't work when they have an approved time off request. So is that something that you're looking to, link between TLM and scheduler? When the managers are going in and building the schedulers, they know that they can't schedule this person because they have time off approved.
That would be amazing, because that's definitely one, like right now on the manual sheet for scheduling, the schedulers write on the side who and what day they requested off, but often you'll see like, oh, Kelly requested October 4th, but I'm on the schedule.
Right. Okay.
But it was approved. Okay. So just like little small errors like that would minimize it.
All right. How do you manage shift replacements related to the schedule? Now, this is a kind of a high-level question, but do you have like a lockout period in which you stop allowing employees to perhaps drop a schedule or put it up for a shift swap rather?
No.
Okay.
So right now they kind of have free reign. If they're like, oh, I need this day off, they're supposed to look for a replacement themselves. Often they'll let
Okay.
the scheduling manager know, and they'll try to help out.
Okay.
Um,
So employee mainly in charge of finding replacement.
yeah, once the schedule has been
Manager.
released.
Okay. Assistance after schedule posted.
Yeah.
And do you have a lot of volume variances in your schedule, either month to month, week to week, or even depending on the season of the year? Or is it pretty static? And some industries have heavier
Yeah.
work needs around the holidays or
I want to
around
say it's pretty
fiscal.
static.
Okay.
Yeah.
So volume is static
Yeah,
throughout
so our
the year.
schedule stays the same throughout the year. We can't fit more than, 6 patients in a chair every hour.
Okay.
So
All right. So this may be, so I'll ask, but this may be different per, scheduling department.
yeah.
Start date of your next schedule period. So I'm just going to refer back to that workload template again. So we had office assistants, pediatric clinic 1 week, 2 week. And so I would imagine that these are, when this particular schedule is posted, it's posted for 2 weeks out, right? Am I understanding that right?
They post the schedules with all week 1, 2, 3, and 4 on it.
So are all of these schedules posted monthly?
Correct.
Okay.
So the ortho, like week 1, week 2, it's all posted at the same time on one sheet right now.
Okay. So it's really, once the schedule is decided and finalized, I know what I'm going to be scheduled, no matter what department or location I'm working in. I know what I'm going to be working for the next month.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you see what location, what days, and then if anything needs to be moved around, you try to figure it out.
Okay. Now, do all of those have the same start date as far as the scheduled period? So do you do it by month, right? So
Yeah, so right now, like October was released and they're working on November's schedule.
okay. So we'll say November 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. And does that schedule period start on Monday? Like the cycle?
Yeah.
Okay. These aren't hard settings, by the way. It's just,
Because November 1st is a Friday, but yeah, so like on the October schedule, November 1st will be included
okay.
in the second. So I guess the scheduling is starting kind of November 4th onwards.
Okay. So maybe like the first Monday of the month.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like that.
Okay. All right. And then how far in advance do you create and post your schedule? So if you guys are working on November.
Yeah, so about a month before they're creating it. And it usually gets sent out about 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
For the month. But even sometimes, like, they send it out 3 weeks. It's depending once it's finalized when they can send it out.
Okay. And do you have unions?
Negative.
Yay.
Right?
All right. So
Not that we have anything against unions, just it makes it harder for us to create our stuff.
yeah, I mean, if there are unions, it just lets us know that there might be a higher complexity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so an optional piece is something called Workload Manager. What it takes is like a historical varying volume that you provide to us, and we have the system kind of predict based on the time of year or month or what have you, if you're going to need more or less people working. Now, it doesn't sound like you're going to need something like that, because I think we'd said previously that your volume is pretty static through the year.
Yeah, we wouldn't need that because it's
Okay.
just like our patient load that increases on season. It's not our actual scheduling that doesn't
Okay.
increase.
Okay. Now, if the patient load does increase, do you have to increase your staff numbers?
We don't.
Okay. All right. So I know you're probably already tired of talking about it, but we want to get a good idea of your scheduling process as it kind of relates to the workflows. So think about when you're building the schedule, who's modifying it, and then if anyone has to approve it, and then posting it. So kind of from beginning to end, who is in a role of building it, approving it, reviewing it, and then posting it to be available and viewable by employees.
Katrina and Michelle, start to finish. So they
Okay.
start creating it, and then employees start emailing them, right? Oh, I can't work this day in November, can't work this day.
Mhm.
So they adjust it accordingly.
Okay.
And then once all finalized, then they email it to all staff of their department.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Rachel, do you think I should get Michelle on right now? Would that help, or am I doing okay?
Actually, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if she's actually available.
She is available. I just messaged
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see. I can probably send her that link to join us.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna quick Lazarus. Yeah, she's at home working, so that's perfect.
Oh.
Probably not getting interrupted. Okay, let's see. Forward. Yeah, I'm just worried because I'm like, I can give you all these answers now, but then I'll probably go to one of them and be like, oh my God, did I say the right things?
Right. Well, this will be put back into your hands after the discovery is completed, so that you can, have the time to sit down and review it internally with your team prior to, and like any official sign off or commencement of us doing the build. So you'll have your own copy, and then if at that later point you're like, oh, we forgot some stuff, then we'll get back on another call and add it in.
Okay, let me see. So I've just forwarded that to her, so that should be good for now. She should be on soon. Okie dokie.
Okay. All right. So, so one pretty vital aspect of scheduling is something called skills. Now, this may sound familiar from your training. A skill is kind of a prerequisite where you're saying, in order for the system to automatically plug people in for the position and the time and location that they're working, they have to have a skill. So a skill would be, I was referring back to your cost centers. So, what's a skill? Are they a controller? Have they qualified as an admin assistant? Have they even moved up to AV technician, so on and so forth? So what we typically do is we try to go ahead and integrate the scheduler skills in with your existing cost centers as long as it fits. So this is just this is an export of all of your cost centers.
Yeah.
So each level, and then it looks like the lowest level was an actual position. So just thinking about the cost centers that you have in the system right now, would this be a direct correlation or reflection of the skills that you would also utilize for scheduling?
Yes and no. There's a
Okay.
couple of ones that don't fit.
Okay.
Like run right now, it's like OOR, which isn't. Well, actually, yeah, let's leave that one in. That's good, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, this would work. So although like right now we have lead pediatric CDA, let's say, if she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to drop her shift, she wouldn't have to find another lead pediatric CDA. She could just
Okay.
find a regular CDA.
Okay. And so what we can do is we import the company level skills, right? So we would
Yeah.
probably import all these, and this is something that I'm going to have you do as a takeaway for homework.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
listing out all the skills, right? But then in turn, once we get the company-wide skills established in the system, we'll then come in and say, okay, here's all your employees. Now we do a skill import to say this lead pediatric, she can also be a standard pediatric CDA or vice versa. So they can have more than one skill that they qualify for, so to speak.
Yeah.
You would, on this import, you would say what's their primary skill, but also what else can they do if you need somebody to fill in.
Perfect. So we'd put primary skill pediatric CDA and secondary would be lead.
Yep.
So if she were to drop it, it would focus on primary or however we have it set up.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Hi, Michelle. Are you here? Looks like you are.
Sorry, I'm here. I was on mute.
Yeah, good committee likes to do that.
So, Michelle, we have Rachel and Stephen with us.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
welcome, Michelle.
So Michelle does a pediatric scheduling right now.
Okay, good deal. So, Michelle, we are going through the scheduler discovery, and Kelly thought it would be a good idea to include you on that because you are more involved with the day-to-day maintenance of it and whatnot.
Right.
So we so far have just been asking and going over really high-level questions. What's your scheduling process? What's the cycle? Who's kind of in charge of that? And that's when you and Katrina came up. So what we're now going over is skills. So what you do is you put a set of skills into the system at the company level, and then you go in and assign a skill or multiple skills to the employee. So even though somebody may be primarily a lead orthodontic CNA, they could also be a standard orthodontic CNA or CDA. So I think there was another one, but so what we're doing here is we're establishing qualifiers or prerequisites. So the system is going to automatically start popping people into the schedule for you, right? And one method that we have to use to do that would be the skills, because not everybody's going to be a pediatric CDA, right? But if I'm a pediatric CDA, I may also at times be able to do a lead pediatric CDA shift. So that's what we're establishing now. So what we've done, what I did previously is I extracted all of your cost centers. And then what I was noticing is there was some really position specific roles. So
Right.
one of the things that we're going to do is identify which of these cost centers will be an actual schedulable skill. Think of it as a skill, aka a prerequisite. The system won't schedule you for this shift if you do not have this as one of your skills. Okay.
Right.
And then you can set a primary skill. So what's your preferred skill shift to work? But then you can also assign additional skills to the person. Well, they're lead pediatric primarily, but they can also be a standard pediatric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some really fancy copy paste and put that into the scheduler discovery. I don't think it's actually going to let me.
Michelle, do you send out the schedules roughly like 2 weeks before the month starts? I wasn't sure on that one.
Yeah, I try to. Well, no, actually, I send it out a month in advance. So what I'll do is I've already sent out November. So I try and do it 2 weeks before. So 2 weeks before October, I sent out November. Sometimes it's a week before, but I always try and get that second one out for the following month.
Okay, so I was definitely wrong on that answer.
Basically, I try and give them 2 months, ahead of time.
Okay.
Except
So
for reception, because reception is so all over the place right now. I don't even have a finalized October because just all the changes.
Gotcha.
It really varies.
Yeah, it does.
And a lot of the things that we're establishing today aren't hard set in stone. It's more so for us to just get a good understanding of, how your normal scheduling process is going to go.
Right.
So that's why we're asking all these really annoying questions.
Oh, good.
But it's going to give us a good understanding of how you need to build this. So what I did, I just pasted these into a new tab on here. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do when I send you away with this discovery is you'll go through these skills here, just what I think might be a skill. And you can take out or cross out anything that won't need to be a skill as far as scheduling requirements is concerned.
Okay.
And add anything else that you see as needing to be a schedulable skill that we don't necessarily have in your cost centers yet.
Okay.
Okay. There are some other optional pieces that you can attach to the skill, like an abbreviation, a description, a color when it appears in the schedule reports. By no means is it required. So really, we just need to, understand what skills you need.
Okay.
Okay.
And you do fancy coloring and stuff later on, maybe once we get comfortable.
Yeah. You can go in there and make things all rainbowy and pretty later. So this here, I'm just going to hide some things that we don't really need just to, I guess we could keep that in if you wanted a takeaway example. This will give you some more information about the skills. If you did want to attach an average rate to it, abbreviation or description or what have you. Let's see. So this I don't think we need either. Okay. So a workload requirement. Now this is something that I did have a big question on. We had this workload template here. Now, is your workload determined by the location as far as this location needs 2 office assistants, Oak Ridge needs 5 CDAs, 1 RDH, 1 SMA, and 2 office assistants? Is that how you determine the workload by location?
Michelle, I guess location more like doctor. How many doctors are in the
usually. Yeah, so it looks like on Wednesday for Oak Ridge we need like 10 CDAs, 2 RDH, 2 SMA. So that's right. So usually per clinic it's 5 CDAs, 1 RDH, and 1 SMA. And then for reception is the one that's a little bit different. But for CDA wise, yeah, pretty much what we need, unless we have double clinic running,
Okay.
which we would
So,
know in advance usually.
gotcha. So the workload template you're going to base on, think about how you structure where your minimum staffing requirement is established. So we would create a workload template or templates where you say this location or this doctor or this area, this cost center or what have you, has this established minimum staffing requirement of these positions.
Right.
Because right now, so like Oak Ridge, let's say, majority of the time there's 2 doctors, so it's 5 CDAs per clinic, so per doctor work. If there's only 1 doctor in
But
Oak Ridge, then
isn't,
it's 5.
is ortho though sometimes 6 chairs?
Yeah. Ortho, ugh. Yeah, because it changes, right, between like 4 to 6
Yeah,
chairs. So scheduling
yeah,
needs for ortho are always different.
they
Okay.
are, yeah.
So would it be based on both the location and perhaps the pediatric or ortho designations?
Yeah, it would have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, and then maybe have a third one for admin or,
Actually, I think the admin we've set up as in basic scheduling.
okay. So we could probably maybe skip the admin.
Yeah, because the admin, they don't punch in or out. They're not on schedules. They just,
Okay, yeah, we don't have to tie them into
no.
that then. Saying admin will not be a part of scheduler. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it would be tied to, well, yeah.
So what I have is we have an workload template import. And what we would do is you can have as many templates as you need to. But what you're doing here is you're defining this workload template needs these skills, this number of people to cover that number of skills, and what shift they're going to work. Okay. And then you can also attach actual cost centers to that. So that's where we would start with the workload template. Now, what I can do, I think I have a good understanding of what you may need to start with in the templates. What I could do is populate what I see as some examples in here. But ultimately, we would need you to build the template and import that. Okay.
So Michelle, assuming there's no doctors on holidays, month to month,
Yeah.
is the template the same in terms of CDA requirements each day and SMA and whatnot?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
That'll probably make things a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, so I guess it would be tied to location. Assuming no doctors are on holidays, then it would be the same. And it's
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless, of course, we have like a new dentist starting, and then that way we would have to redo the template for them because they would only be starting with maybe 2 or 3 CDAs per day.
Okay.
So, just little changes if that were to happen.
Okay. No worries. So we'll start with the core normal ones, and then any one-offs or potential. You could even make like a generic, maybe new hire doctor template in there or something. I'm failing to find a good word for it. That you could use as needed.
Okay.
So right now we're just trying to get pretty well cover like 90 to 95% of what your normal stuff is.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to, but just to pause for a moment. the scheduler module requires a lot of work up front before we start to see all of the pieces running and operating together. So it's going to seem like there's a lot of stuff that we're asking you to do at the beginning. All of the work is basically on the front end before you actually get to see the fruits of your labor and the result. I will help you every step along the way, but if it's starting to seem like a lot and you're not really seeing a lot of payout yet, just remember there's just a lot that you have to do before it actually starts to work. So like with TLM or other modules, you can start to see all the pieces fall into place as you're going along. With Scheduler, basically you have to get everything built before you can really start to see how it's working specific to your company. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for just kind of switching gears here, we want to think about who is going to be accessing the schedules, building the schedules, and who's going to be able to do what in the system. Now, we usually base this on the security profile. So you have the basic security profiles right now: company administrator, manager, and employee, right? Company admins are going to be able to do everything with the scheduler.
Yeah.
So what we more want to focus on, I don't know that you have currently anybody assigned as a manager. Are there plans to have any managers?
We should, actually.
Okay. Well, it might be in progress.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
So are Kelly and Rochelle or Raquella, are they admins in the system?
Yes, they would be system admins.
Okay, gotcha. So you guys are going to be able to do everything. So I'm not really going to worry too much about the company administrator role. You guys are going to be doing everything. So think about when you start, having managers, your shift supervisors, what have you, doing their duties in the system and tasks in the system as well. When it relates specific to the scheduler, are you going to be extending any responsibility or things to them? So there's just a series of questions here where, there's quite a bit of what they can do. So you want to think about, what are we going to allow the manager to do, whether it's view only or edit. So can the user view or edit scheduler profiles? Scheduler profiles are where you put in the workload template, you put in basically all the inner workings of the scheduler. That also contains all of the restraints, or constraints rather, where you say, people can't be scheduled more than 40 hours a week or what have you. So is that something that you would want them to edit or view only?
I would think edit.
Okay.
And view, yeah.
Okay. Can the user view or edit scheduler delegation? Scheduler delegation, I can't remember off the top of my head what that does. So basically, if I'm understanding correctly, a scheduler delegation would say, this is going to be my backup scheduler for the time being. So is it still just going to be Michelle and Raquella building the schedules, and the managers will more or less be, reviewing and, working with the employees to make sure that everything's covered? Where are you going to draw the line as to who's doing what?
Yeah, because Katrina does the ortho CDAs, so she would need to be able to go in. And then I schedule reception, all the peds doctors and CDAs, hygienists, SMAs. And then Marianne schedules the OAs, office assistants. So there's a few of us that would need to be able to, I think, access. And then Jocelyn does the orthodontic doctor's schedule. So yeah, there's a few of us.
Okay.
So I guess like Andrea and Julie have no part in scheduling at all, right? Michelle?
No, they don't.
They're managers though, so I would probably
Okay.
only want them to
Yeah.
view, but then the rest of the managers to be able to view and edit.
Well, one thing that we
Yeah,
might.
and if they,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and if they see anything on the schedule, then they'll let me know. Can you do this, or can you take that off, or but they don't normally touch the schedule.
Okay.
So Rachel, is there a way to assign it to a specific user, not a profile then? Because a few of them would be in that profile, but not all of them would need.
Right. I think the best way, and Stephen, if you disagree with this, please let me know. We may create, clone, and modify the manager security profile and make one called manager with scheduler or without. That's usually the quickest and simplest way to really hone in who can do what.
I would like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And then that way you guys can just quickly pop in and change that security profile. So I guess we'll make the new, let's see, should we make the new one with scheduler and the existing one without scheduler?
Yep. That's pretty clear.
Okay. All right. So the without, how about they're just basically view only when it comes to the schedule items?
Exactly, yeah. So if they see any concerns, then they would just let the managers that are able to edit the schedule
Gotcha.
know. But because they are managers, they should still be able to view it. Sure.
Just now manager without schedule, say, would they be able to, I'm saying, not modify shifts, user view audits, so you could see who changed the schedule?
Yep, that's fine for managers.
Working with schedules, can the user post or unpost? I'm going to say probably not.
Oh, no.
Let's see, what do we have?
That would just be, manager with schedule.
Okay.
I think.
When
Michelle,
working with
unposting your schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you don't have too many hands in there.
That's exactly it. At least at the beginning, you kind of want to have like your stakeholders, I guess, and then you start to allocate more control later.
Yeah.
All right. When working with schedules, can the user approve reject schedules? Say probably not.
No, that would only be you, Michelle, right? Yeah.
Right.
Andrea doesn't do that.
No.
Let's see the schedule overview by date range. Say yes. What can the user use in the scheduler in scheduler profiles of the system? I don't even know what that question means. Okay. What can the user do in a scheduler delegation? Nothing. Or maybe view. Marketplace, I don't know what that is. Okay. So, which scheduler reports can the user see? So I would think it would be okay. You'll have to tell me. So employee availability, employee preferences, open shift request, open shifts. So you want to kind of think about, do we want to give them some empowerment as far as kind of coaching the employees, monitoring any maybe scheduling shortages or holes in the schedule, so to speak, or saying the employee comes to them first and not you, and they're like, I want to pick up an extra shift or something. So what do you think about them being able to see these reports?
Michelle, what do you think? Like for, let's say, Julie,
Yeah,
would
probably.
yeah, because right now Julie would probably just email and be like, what days are they available?
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think they should have access to be able to see everything.
Yeah.
So open shifts, requests for coverage, swap shift requests, summary by employee. We'll just see how that works out. So there's still essentially going to be a view only. And maybe I'll put that in the view only with schedules. I'll find a better name for it later, but yeah. All right. So which self-service options can the user respond to or initiate? So would a manager, whether they're a scheduler or not, be also a person who would be a part of a working schedule? So would they need to see open shift requests?
Hmm.
Probably not.
Are we talking for themselves or for employees?
Themselves? Yeah.
For
so
themselves.
I'm a manager. Am I also potentially going to be on the schedule?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Did you say unlikely? I'm just thinking, well, I know Katrina on the ortho side, she puts herself on the schedule.
Katrina does, yeah, right?
Katrina does. So
And
she's
I
a
do
manager
myself as
with
well.
scheduler, but she'd also, she'd schedule her for herself.
Okay.
Hmm.
Not so much Michelle, I guess.
Okay. So, if in the event that you're going to allow the employees to pick up shifts, the system is going to run through the constraints to say you do or don't have the skills, or, you're already off that day, and some other constraints that, we'll go into later. But they can't just pick up any random shift. So they're going to have to still qualify, so to speak, to pick up the shift.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's no downfall for just putting in yes to that, right?
Right.
Because no would restrict them. Yes, it would just, if they don't use it, then there's no.
Right. That's exactly it.
So.
All right. Post open shifts. Okay. So the employee is not going to be doing anything except their own self-service stuff. So I'm just going to skip all that. So same goes for the employee. They may be able to see open shift requests, request coverage for their shift, do shift swap, and post their own open shifts. So really the big difference here is going to be the manager with scheduler. They're going to have view edit capabilities.
For everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... All right. So our employees allowed to swap shifts, and this is going to be an option in the system, not telling the manager to swap it. So do you want them to be able to swap shifts via the scheduler?
So
And we
if
could
they swap it, they can do it online, and then would it send a notification to like Michelle, let's say, to approve it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we can attach some kind of approval or rejection workflow to it. Because
Okay.
that's, yeah. So we'll put in
Yeah,
there,
we would need that.
we'll say as long as there is an approve, reject option from scheduling manager.
Just so we all stay in the loop.
Right.
Hmm.
Are employees allowed to initiate coverage requests? So I gotta do something tomorrow, it's last minute. Can I say I need coverage? Do you want them to be able to put that request out there?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. And are employees allowed to request open shifts? Hey, is there any shifts out there that I can pick up?
Yeah, they do that now sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. We can try it.
Unless it's a vacation week for them, then they can't.
Right.
So if they're trying to request for like October 2nd, if the system would say no because you're on holidays, if we've inputted that.
Okay.
Because we don't, like, if, yeah.
Time off. On date. Well, I would think if there wouldn't be an open shift if it's a stated holiday. I mean, we'll have to confirm that, but.
Oh no, like if they're on holidays, like they have
Okay.
they're taking this vacation week. So I should use
Gotcha.
vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, so like sometimes, so if they're on vacation and they're part-time, so I add 3 days part-time vacation, they might be able to put an open shift on for the Friday,
Okay.
but I want them to take the full week off.
Okay.
I don't want them to take the Friday and then they get 4 days, 1 day worked and 3 days vacation pay.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know if that's an option, but that'd be cool.
We could definitely try it. So if an employee has scheduled time off, on date of open shift request, can system prevent the request?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so we've discussed scheduling, cost centers, and the skills related to them. We've discussed the skills, whether they have one or a few.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be one of a few imports that you'll be getting from me. So let me just make sure I'm making a list. Imports, skills, company, skills, employee.
So I guess there's a way
Code, template.
to like color code if anyone puts up an open shift to color code by like location. Like purple can be Oak Ridge, blue means Delta, like a shift somewhere in Delta. Like I guess that's possible.
I think so.
That'd be cool.
That would be good.
Yeah, just so they can see right away. Oh no, this is Delta. I can't work in Delta.
Yeah,
I can't
Right.
take it.
Yeah.
So open shifts colored based on location.
Location, yeah, and then they can see if they have the skill to in that location.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So scheduler profile settings. So I was trying to kind of think about how we would set up the scheduler profiles. Just to give you an overview of what a scheduler profile do, let me just touch on some of the questions that scheduler profile or constraints that scheduler profile will have built into it. So one would be this person has time off scheduled for the day. Another would be the person already has a schedule for the day, or for the week, this person, you're scheduling this person for 50 hours, warning or error. Any other kind of regulations that you may have. I think this might be more European based, but any kind of differences and rules that you want to enforce between the schedule profiles, you would want to, separate those out via the profile. So the scheduler profile contains not only the constraint rules, it also contains the workflow. So the workflows will drive the shift swap, any coverage requests, any approvals, whether manual or automatic. We try to keep it pretty trimmed down at the beginning, at least. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. What's the schedule profile? So the scheduler profile isn't going to necessarily contain the individual schedules. It's just going to say what rules do we need to enforce or warnings do we need to pop up. And then the workflows of building and approval and posting and unposting and all that. How many profiles do you think you would need?
I mean, for myself, I would have to sit and think about that for a little bit.
Okay.
Because there's lots of variables.
So each different profile would be a different variable? Rachel, is that what it is?
Not necessarily. I'm trying to think of some other examples here. So
each profile is more like a group of the constraints and kind of like our pay rules, right? So a certain group gets overtime after 8 hours, where another group may get overtime after 12 hours. In the scheduler profile, one group may be able to pick up an open shift when they already have time off, whereas another group may be not able to pick up a shift on a day they have time off. It's all that kind of grouping.
Okay.
So if all the things are the same for everybody, then you would only need one. But anytime that you look at the group and say, okay, well, this group has all this, but this other group has one thing different, then you would have to create a new schedule profile for that separate group with just that one change.
Okay. I think it's pretty standard across the board.
Okay.
In terms, ortho CDAs, peds, receptions, all the kind of the same.
Okay. So we'll just say scheduler profile 1. And that will pretty much be it.
The bulk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as we keep saying, none of this is written in stone. If we find that later on we need to, create another one because we do find a different constraint, that's not a problem. Yeah. It's always able to create more stuff.
For sure. All right. So here we're just defining, do you want this to be a warning or a hard stop error? A warning is just a warning message, and they can still proceed with the action. An error is a hard stop. Hey, you can't go any further. So some of these may not relate to you. So here's an example. There's a conflict between schedules for the same day. So someone's already scheduled for the day. Employee already scheduled for the day. Another one I could think of would be employee has scheduled time off for this day.
Yeah, so I think, Michelle, maybe like the employee already scheduled, that would be a stop, an error. But then
Right.
the rest
Yeah.
would be kind of be warning. If it's an overtime shift, that's a warning. If it's out of their preference,
Right.
that should maybe a warning. Because I think
Right.
Michelle usually checks in with the staff and HR if it's okay they do overtime shift or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's something that's not physically possible, then that would be an error. Stop.
So we have a couple good ones already. Let's see. I heard, what was the last two that you had said? Employee, something about overtime.
If
Scheduling this employee
at overtime, that would just be a warning.
would cause them to go into overtime, and we can definitely change that verbiage. So we'll say warning, warning on the time off schedule, maybe. Anything that you want a hard stop error on?
That would, just be like, can't be two places at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have those three. Anything else you can think of at the moment?
Hard stop if they're tried to be scheduled on a stat.
What do you mean?
Because we're always closed. No, that wouldn't be. Disregard.
Okay. Scheduling on Sundays, maybe?
Well, I'm just trying to think. Yeah,
Yeah,
as
we
per
wouldn't have that.
it wouldn't even be an option, right? To
Right.
accidentally put someone on Sunday.
Let's throw it in there just in case. Schedule takes place on Sunday. Okay. Pretty good. Okay. Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I think those are good. You don't want to get too crazy, at least at the beginning, but these are some good ones to start with.
That's gonna scare us if there's too many warning signs everywhere.
Yeah. People start to see too many warnings and just walk away from it. So trust me. All right. So let's talk about your schedule again, as far as you schedule by, how we call this, more so location. You schedule by location, but you also schedule by position, right?
Yeah.
I know some of these are starting to seem redundant.
I'm just like scared. I'm like, is it this simple? Is it the answer just yes?
This is probably the easy part, to be honest. Some of the stuff I'm just skipping over because I already have a pretty good setting or idea of what you're doing. So let's just see here, because I don't want you to feel like you're doing any double work. So let's kind of think about this. So the schedule settings are going to be where you're actually building the shift. So what I'm thinking is that your schedule settings, you're going to position it first based on location, probably based on location, right? So if we're talking about Oak Ridge and then pediatric, when would that cycle start? What would the cycle length be? Which I imagine would be weekly. And then is there a max budget? That's actually optional. Max budget hours. And then which levels of your cost center apply. So that's going to be your positions. And will your schedule require approval prior to posting? and then who will approve or reject.
Okay. Yeah, not if it's the managers with scheduler.
So the managers, so specific to Oak Ridge Pediatric, or so that's where we're gonna take these. We're gonna take these and say, these are your shifts, these are your templates, and
Yeah, and
then
you can tweak it, I guess, and stuff.
So the managers with scheduler would be approving.
Managers with approving abilities, yes. With scheduler. And Michelle, I think you have to go, right? If you have. We only had Michelle for a little bit.
In just a couple of minutes.
Okay. I think we're at about the tail end. What I'm going to end up doing is sending you guys some imports to start working on to get everything started. And then what I would like to do is reconnect after we've been able to work through those imports.
Okay, so Michelle, then if you're comfortable with it, I'll try to just fill in as much information as I know and then give it to you to just double check over.
Okay, sure.
And then once, and then send it or something.
Okay.
Just to make sure I put in the right information.
Right.
I really don't know much about
and then you can, I can text you later, and if you want, I can talk with you on the phone too about the schedule.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. I will talk to you later.
Well, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm just going to start filling these out. Because you can attach like kind of a generic, we attach the important things. So when does the cycle start? What is the cycle length? Do you have a max budget that you're looking to stay within there? Do you have a max number of hours that you're wishing to stay in? Just so you can actually really start to use that into the scheduling reporting.
Okay.
And kind of see, are we really going over the number of hours that we try to stay within for that, location and
we're definitely
work
trying
group.
Keeping track of that a little bit more. I don't know if we have a set budget number, but I guess that can always be. I'll review that with Raquel.
Yeah, and you don't have to. But, something to think about. It's like one of those shiny pieces to the scheduler. It's not required, but
optional to leave blank. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, but really, think about this, about how you would also think about like the TLM profiles. If there are going to be, if these are all the same with respect to work time availability, some of the rules that you're going to create, if there's a maximum consecutive number of work days or maximum number of hours, this is where we also start to incorporate some of those rules, warnings, or whatnot too. So if pretty much the rules are going to be the same across the board, then we wouldn't necessarily need a schedule setting for every location and every working group. So just kind of think about that.
Okay, that's not bad.
Okay.
I apologize in advance. I'm like really green with this. So if I ask silly questions and I just don't have much understanding on the scheduling.
Yeah, no worries. I completely understand. I'm still learning it myself, so I have a pretty big one-up because I've been through the training and I've done a lot of shadowing on it, but I know the methodology behind it and, how to get started and all that. So, I definitely understand that. So,
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because usually I don't know what's wrong until I see that something's wrong.
right, exactly.
I don't know if something's right until I see it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, totally understand. And that's why, whether it's scheduler or TLM or whatever, we try to start simple in the system, honestly.
Yeah.
So, very, very simple. Okay. So I think for now, we've got everything that we really ultimately need on the discovery.
Okay.
So what I want to talk about now are the imports, and you're gonna hate me when you start working on these imports.
Never.
So, but again, we have to do all the work to start to see the good stuff. So the first one is going to be the company skills import. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, I just pulled these from your cost centers. So I'm going to plug these in. Just the name. If you want to attach any other special thing to it, feel free. There is an instruction tab down here. But really, it's just the name that we're trying to get started, okay? If there's any that you need to add or any that won't be a part of the scheduler, just pop it out, okay? Second import directly related to that is going to be importing the specific skills of the employees, what skill they have.
Oh, so I have to give you a list of all the employees and what skills to import.
Yeah. What you could do, pro tip, go into Workforce Ready, export the employee information report, parse out any that won't be scheduled, and then you can just pop them in there by employee ID. So this is going to be the final product. But I do that quite often is I'll go in here and it logged me out. If I need to import something for employees, I'll export that employee report so I can get their ID. And then do kind of all the pre-work on that.
So I don't have to actually put their name, right? I can just put their ID.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then, so I'll have to, the first one would be the primary, and then all the other one attached underneath would be secondary.
Correct. Yep.
So there could be like 5 secondaries, but only 1 primary.
Yep.
Okay.
So here's what I would do. So this import's going to give you all that core information we need for the import, but it's also going to give you their name. You can pop in the cost center, their default cost center, or what have you, and just kind of use this to fill out your starting import. And then once you're done, you just plug those into the actual skills import. Okay.
That'll be a fun project for me.
Oh yeah, we love Excel here. Okay. Workload templates. Now this might be something you want me to work on with you, but I think it is going to need pretty heavy input from the other scheduling parties.
Okay.
So the workload template. Come on. My computer is not liking that I have 50 spreadsheets open.
I hate Excel for that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's probably going to crash on me here in a second. So workload template. So from what I've heard so far, I think we're going to structure the templates based on the location and then the level 2. So like orthodontic, pediatric. So you'd have location and then pediatric. Location and then ortho. That's just kind of my idea so far. But this is where we're going to start to enter the shifts that you need to ensure are covered. So think about your workload as your coverage, minimum coverage.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and that one, so it sounds like for Michelle, like they're just gonna have to pull this template, but then potentially adjust it every month because there's generally a doctor away
Yeah.
once a month. But then just getting the basic one
Yeah.
would be good.
And you can, actually pull out a blank import, and instead of having to go in and manually manipulate it by hand in the system, you can import a new template or adjust it. So if you like imports, we got plenty.
Yeah, I imagine with Michelle and Katrina, they might like working off a blank one to start because that's what they're comfortable and used to.
For sure.
But hopefully we can get them used to the template.
And one other thing I wanted to throw out there, and this is really maybe a little bit down the road after we get those beginning items imported. We have something called employee work availability and preferences. So the employee can go in there and say, I have classes Wednesday afternoon, so I can't be scheduled then, or I can't work Fridays, or I prefer not to work Mondays, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know if you're really going to need that, but if you do have like your part-timers, and their schedule is kind of contingent, maybe they're also in school full-time. So you have this option. It's called employee work availability and preferences. Availability operates as a hard stop. I can't work that day or that time. And then preferences, I would like to have Wednesday afternoons off, but it's not a requirement. So we don't have to necessarily work on this import now, but it is an import option that I will include if you want to also talk to your scheduling managers about that. Now, this is also something that the employees can log in and set up via their own ESS account. So we don't have to import it. And it's completely controllable by the employee. So if you wanted to get really crafty and kind of force them to start adopting the scheduler eventually, be like, okay, you need to go in and set up your work time availability and preferences. So
yeah, we definitely want to set that up. I know that was an interest when we first started.
Okay.
But that being said, yeah, we definitely want employees to have access to putting in availability. We just want them to have access to put in preferences.
Okay.
And then the scheduling manager would have the ability to put in the availability.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty common. Okay.
Yeah. Because then, the staff member can just reach out to the manager and be like, I really can't do it, but we need to know why before.
Yeah. So employees set preferences, I can't spell, and managers set availability. Okay, so I'll include that in there as well.
Okay.
So we have 4 imports now, and in the email, I'm going to list out, do this first, do the second, third, fourth, just so we can get a good starting foundation. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm also, of course, going to include the TLM discovery. So you have a lot coming at you. But I don't want you to feel like you're on your own. So what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is schedule a follow-up session perhaps next week, depending on your availability, so we can reconnect and say, okay, where are we at with imports? Where are we at with the discovery? What are you hitting any roadblocks or speed bumps with doing the imports and things of that nature?
Okay, Raquel messaged me that she wanted to set up a call on Monday, but that won't work for me because I need more time to get all this
done. It is Friday afternoon.
Yeah, this is just not getting done. Let's check her schedule. I'm leaning towards more Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Curriculum reviews. Okay, Thursday afternoon or would Thursday afternoon work for you at all?
That's on the 3rd.
The 3rd, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Remember, your afternoon is later than ours.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
So
that might not work. Well,
that's
if we did, what's the latest you're in?
I leave here about 5:30 Eastern time. So that's what,
Oh, it's
2:30
late.
your time.
I was thinking around like 1 p.m. That'd be like 4 p.m. your time then.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I'm
That
free.
is- If you guys prefer a different day, though, I can look for something else. But I would just ask Raquel what works for her because I'm always free. She's just
Actually,
kind
I
of
have a meeting at 4 on that Thursday, or 1 your time. Can we do, let's see, 3 my time? I guess that'd be 12 your time. That'd be too early.
I think so. Cause,
Okay.
well, I mean, it just has to be me at the very least. What about?
What about 1:30 your time?
You know what? Okay, let's do 12 o'clock then, my time for
Okay.
Thursday. So 3 for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because worst comes to worst, like Raquel can just jump on later if she has any questions, or she can just let me know.
Right.
But I think I'll be doing the bulk of these imports.
Gotcha. Also, what I would definitely suggest, obviously, do work as a team, review this, and do as much as you can as a scheduling team. We don't want anyone to kind of come in later and be like, you forgot all this.
Yeah.
But then start to keep a running list of the questions or curiosities even that you may have.
Okay.
It's not just about compiling and tracking issues, it's about questions as well. So I definitely tell clients right out of the gate, start listing and tracking your questions that you have so that you feel a little more confident when you're walking away from these sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And, you remember by the time you get on our call, what did I want to talk to her about? Now I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we'll say at 12 your time. All right, so you have a couple emails coming your way, one for the invite and then the imports. Okay.
Okay, call with Rachel and Steven. There we go. Okay. And then I guess you'll send me all the imports then sometime today or next week?
Yep, it'll be coming your way in just a few minutes, okay?
Awesome. So I'll get working on that.
All right. Yep, reach out to me though if you have any questions or you're having like severe issues with the import. But don't feel like you have to wait. I am here outside of our call.
Sorry, Kelly, you mentioned something about not being available on Monday. Does that include our call on Monday?
Oh, no, I'm available on Monday. I was just thinking for Rachel, for the scheduling the portion, I'm not ready for Monday.
Oh, okay. No problem.
But yeah, in terms of our call on Monday, there's just one small thing I want to update you, but we can do that next week.
Okay.
Yep.
No problem.
All right. Well, I thank you all for your time, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.